And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Sunday, March 30th. I am Josh Engleman here to break down a 6-game slate on DraftKings, a 7-game slate on FanDuel. We got a lot to talk about in this one. But first, I'm going to need you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a good weekend. We're here. It's Sunday. Got some games to break down. Basketball, lots to talk about. And I'm excited to do so. Bunch of games. Couple that are solid. Some that are less than solid. But we're breaking it down one way or the other. Why the hell is my light off? Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. Well, as much as I want to just rant and rave and ramble to start this show, I don't have anything. Didn't do anything yesterday. So let's just get into it, shall we? Portland Trailblazers, 8-point underdogs in New York, 220 total. Again, this is not on the DraftKings main slate. DraftKings locks at 7. FanDuel locks at 6. So this game is FanDuel only. Keep that in mind. No DraftKings analysis for this particular game. For Portland, Jeremy Grant is doubtful. Scoot is out. Anthony Simons is questionable. We're getting 10% ownership for Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, Toumani Camara, and Deni Avdija, and then basically nothing for anybody else. The Anthony Simons news will obviously carry a lot of weight for those of you playing on FanDuel, because if he ends up out, then we're going to be able to get to someone like Delano Banton. It will make Sharpe look better. It will make Avdija look better. It will, to a degree, make Camara look better. Portland will change quite a bit if Anthony Simons ends up out. If he's in, at least based on our data, coin flip on who the best guy is between Deni Avdija and Shaedon Sharpe. Deni ranks 29th. Shaedon Sharpe ranks 31st. None of these guys are ranking all that great. They're both about 10% optimal. Same for Camara. They're all in that 15 to 20% boom range. They all have the same ownership, which makes sense. I don't see a ton of separation on anything from Portland unless we get Anthony Simons out. If we get that, that's when we can start looking at Portland a little bit differently. But for right now, we don't have that news. We do have a Portland bet. It is a slight negative historical ROI on Anthony Simons. 6 OddsShopper rating, 4% EV, negative 1.7% HROI on FanDuel for PRAs. So, maybe pump the brakes a little bit. It's the only Portland bet we have out there. But if you wanted to take anything on Simons unders, I think that makes some sense. And then on the Knicks side, still no Jalen Brunson, still no Miles McBride, still no campaign. We got DeLon Wright starting last time out. I think we have to assume that he is going to be starting again today. And if that's the case, he's interesting. He's 4K, point guard only. We went 28 minutes, 17% optimal, ranks 17th, 17% owned. Seems like he should be ranked 17th. I don't know about you guys. I mean, we have Josh Hart ranked 14th, DeLon Wright ranked 17th, Karl Anthony Towns ranked 16th. 3 guys in 4 spots. They're all basically 20% owned. They're all right around 20% optimal. Obviously, Towns has the highest ceiling of any of these guys. 10K center only. Good matchup against Portland. Not a great spot for Donovan Clingan, I would say. So I would say Josh Hart probably looks the best. Small forward, power forward eligibility. The MPE really helps. 8K price tag, but, over a fantasy point per minute. Great flexibility. But there's not a lot of separation between Hart, Wright, and Towns. I'd go Hart, Towns, Wright. I don't have much of a much of an opinion here on any of these guys. What do you guys like for the Knicks on FanDuel if you're playing? I think it's just those three guys. And then, like, if you want a little bit of Anunoby or of Mikal Bridges, very reasonable. Well, let's get to the DraftKings side of this one now. Game 1 in the books. We go to Atlanta. First game on both sites. Atlanta Hawks, 4-point underdogs in Milwaukee, 235 total. We're getting quite a bit of ownership into Atlanta, whether that's 20% to Trae Young, 20% to Dyson Daniels, 20% to Onyeka Okongwu, another 10 to Karis LeVert. In terms of my ownership, in terms of our rank, Onyeka Okongwu is the top guy. 7,400 center only, ranks 10th, 24% optimal, 19% owned. Just looks really good. Right on that top 10 line. Well over a 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Okongwu's the guy I'm getting the most. Daniels is second at 7,400. You get the MPE, point guard, shooting guard eligibility. 18% optimal, 18% owned. He ranks 14th. Made 20% of my lineups. Trae at 20% owned might be a tad high. He's in at 9,500, but we only have him at 11% optimal. I got 11%, but 20% owned. Looks like he should be in that 15% range. You're certainly getting to Trae here. And then LeVert off the bench, playing about 25 minutes a night. Right at a fantasy point per minute, 4,700. Best positional eligibility you could find at shooting guard, small forward. Ranks 20th, 10% optimal, 10% of my lineups, 10% owned. FanDuel side, pretty much the same. Trae not as popular, but Okongwu and Daniels both in the top 10, both 20% owned. Little bit of love coming into Karis LeVert. Not much else on the FanDuel end. Don't have a ton of interest in Vit Krejci. Don't have a ton of interest in like Niang or Mann or any of the other guys off the bench. I think getting to 5 to 10% of Risache is fine. 4,500, small forward, power forward eligible, playing about 25 minutes a night. Totally fine lineup filler, but does look a little bit different than Okongwu, than Daniels, LeVert, and Young. But there's a lot to like here from Atlanta today. Bet-wise, we do have an Onyeka Okongwu under 11.5 rebounds prop, 3 OddsShopper rating, 2.7% EV on BetMGM. That's the best Atlanta line we have of anything that we can grab from the Portfolio EV tool. But Atlanta looks like a team that we have to pay pretty close attention to throughout this day. I mean, they're 78% owned. That's the 4th highest owned team on the slate so far. Unfortunately, though, they are half as owned as the team they're taking on, which is the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are still without Damian Lillard, obviously still without Bobby Portis, Jericho Sims. Giannis is in for this one, which helps. AJ Green, though, is questionable. We'll keep an eye there. Giannis projecting pretty well. 11.9 power forward center eligible, 90% optimal, 90% owned, 100% of my lineups. Now, I want to be very clear here. He's not going to be this owned, and he's not going to be that optimal. I'm actually on projections tonight. I will be dialing these bad boys in later on, but I don't think it's any surprise to hear that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be a heavy priority today. We have more than enough value to get to him. He's incredible. There's no Damian Lillard. Matchups against Atlanta are incredible. He checks off every box. He's the best play that you can get to. I don't have to tell anybody that you should play Giannis. Everybody knows this. I think you can play some Gary Trent, who's playing massive minutes right now with no Dame around. 4,600, shooting guard, small forward eligible. Not a great per minute guy, but 17% optimal, 17% of my lineup, 16% owned, ranks 13th. We're a ton of ownership to Ryan Rollins. We still have this weird push-pull between him and KPJ. So KPJ is 5,100 off the bench, not that owned. Like him as a GPP play. Ryan Rollins is chalk, 4,100 off the bench. A little scarier, 23% owned. Maybe I have him a little under projected. You're certainly paying attention to him, but I don't think he looks amazing. But I probably have him a little under projected. Kuzma's okay. Brook Lopez is okay. AJ Green, if he's out, will make some of these guys look a little bit more interesting. I think at that point in time, we pay closer attention to KPJ. But it's Giannis. It's Giannis. Both sites. Doesn't matter. Gary Trent looks better on FanDuel. 4,700 shooting guard, small forward eligible. The positions just matter a little bit more here. But he's 20% owned. Rollins is 20% owned. And then it's like 5 to Prince, Kuzma, Lopez, KPJ. KPJ with the MPE on FanDuel is helpful. But the takeaway for Milwaukee is just play all the Giannis you could find. DJ, I think Cat's price is totally fine on FanDuel. Looks great. But give me all the Giannis. Give me all the Giannis. It's just too easy to get to him. It's way too easy to get to him. Not to mention, what else are you going to get to? The next highest pay up on today's slate is Anthony Edwards at 9,900. Giannis projects for 20 more fantasy points than anybody else on the slate. I don't know how you get away from him today. He's on a complete island in terms of DFS plays. He's 19 points higher than some of these guys. Like, what do you do with that? Other than play him. That's all you do. There's not another 10K salary guy on this slate. So, jam, Giannis. You guys can see it. He's in 100% of my lineups. It's going to be pretty close by the time we get the lock. Pistons. Oh, we forgot to look for bets. Atlanta and Milwaukee. Milwaukee, Giannis, 5 OddsShopper rating, 4.2% EV, under 6.5 assists on BetMGM, plus 115. Brook Lopez, under 5.5 rebounds at Fanatics, has a 4 EV. Onyeka Okongwu rebounds at BetMGM. Giannis rebounds at BetMGM. Quite a few bets out there for this Milwaukee-Atlanta game. All right, we'll talk Pistons. They're 7.5 point dogs in Minnesota. 225 total. Doesn't look like we're going to be getting Cade back yet. He is doubtful for today, so keep an eye on it. That could change, but currently listed as doubtful. Tobias Harris is back. Only guy really getting any ownership at this point for the Pistons is Dennis Schroeder. 5,800, point guard, shooting guard eligible. 28% optimal, ranks 9th. 29% of my lineup, 17% owned. Everybody else is sub 10% optimal, sub 10% owned, ranks outside the top 30. You want to get a little bit of a Sar, you want to get a little bit of Tobias Harris, a little bit of Malik Beasley. It's fine. Revenge narrative for Beasley. Man, I'm itchy this morning. I think the air is really dry. Anyway, no one cares about that at all. It's Schroeder. Schroeder's the only guy that you look at from Detroit and think, I probably got to get this guy a little bit more than most. Same deal on FanDuel. Even at 6K, 20%, 27% optimal, ranks 5th. Nobody else in the top 50. That's a bad matchup against Minnesota, too. But not much here outside of Schroeder. What do you guys like here from the Pistons? Because I feel like you guys are going to have a different look at this than I do. In terms of Pistons bets, we don't have them. They literally don't have a representative on OddsShopper right now. But this is really just Schroeder. And then like some flyers on Asar. Yeah, Lee says Asar. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's just the minutes for him are so weird. And we got to remember, Tobias Harris was out for that last game, so don't look too much into him getting those 32. Noel also says Thompson. Yeah, remember, Tobias Harris is back. Now, he got 27 the game before that, but his minutes have been weird lately. They're all over the place. He's the guy you want to take the shot on, that's for sure. Let's see what we have for Minnesota. And what we have for Minnesota is absolutely nothing. No one on DraftKings has an optimal rate north of 7%. No one on DraftKings has ownership north of 7%. I got to 8% of Randall. That's the most of anybody. They are all outside the top 30. On FanDuel, same scenario. No one 10% optimal. No one is higher than 6% owned. There's really nothing here. There's really nothing here. No one's getting any love. No 10% optimal owned. No 10% from me. I don't have much to recommend from Minnesota. This game is the second lowest owned game on the DraftKings slate. And we do have some bets, though. Under 3.5 assists on Dante DiVincenzo. 5 OddsShopper rating, 4% EV on BetMGM. Under 7.5 points on Mike Conley. 5 OddsShopper rating, 3.5 EV on BetMGM. So 2 really nice Minnesota bets, if that's a direction you want to go, are sitting out there on BetMGM right now. But not a lot else here for Minnesota and Detroit. What we do have, though, is the MLB DFS package for $1 through April 3rd using the promo code CYCLE. There's a link in the description of this video. There's one that pops up in chat as well. If you want to play MLB DFS, you should come check out what we've got to offer, because you'll only pay $1 through April 3rd. You'll get projections, ownership, top stacks, top pitchers, top batters. You'll get our single lineup sim, our contest generator, our regular sims, our post-contest sims, and our premium Discord. It's a loaded package for $1. You're going to see the Stokastic avatars all year. Come find out what we have. MLB DFS is super fun. You're always in it. Everybody gets fixed opportunities, so you know when guys are going to get up. It's a fun sweat, and you guys can get it for $1. It's that easy. It'll re-up on April 4th, but it's April 3rd. You got it for $1 through April 3rd. Link in the description. And hit that like button. Charlotte Hornets. 3-point dogs in New Orleans, 213 total. Hornets will be without LaMelo Ball for the rest of the year. Josh Green is out for this one. Josh Okogie is available. Tijan Salon is questionable. Mark Williams also out. This is where we're getting a ton of ownership, and this is where it gets a little tricky. 25% ownership coming into KJ Simpson. I don't think anybody's going to be all that surprised by that. He's been a value play with LaMelo out. Price still hasn't climbed enough. 4,400, ranks 8th. Easy 25%er. Nick Smith looks really good in that 10 to 15% range. He ranks in the top 20. Miles Bridges with no LaMelo Ball, even at 9K. In a matchup against the Pelicans, north of 10% optimal, ranks in the top 30. 18% owned, looks good. Salon, if he plays. Not a very good basketball player, but 10% optimal, 10% owned, works as a value play at 3,300. But the main talking point that we have for the Charlotte Hornets today is who the hell plays at center? Which one are we playing a lot? Or are we just playing them both? Right now, I'm playing them both. So I split the minutes between Yusuf Nurkic and Moussa Diabate. Nurkic is 3,800. Diabate is 3,100. Nurkic, obviously, a much better per minute guy. We've got Nurkic 50% optimal. We've got Diabate 30% optimal. We've got Nurkic 60% owned. We've got Diabate 25% owned. Optimal rates and boom rates coming out of the boom bust tool, they rank 2nd and 4th. They're in 50 and 42% of my lineups, respectively. I think you got to play a lot of Yusuf Nurkic and a lot of Moussa Diabate today. They're just going to play real minutes. With no Mark Williams around, with no LaMelo Ball around, they don't seem like they want to play Taj Gibson all that much. I will mention Taj Gibson did play 12 minutes last time Mark Williams was out, but that was also a game where there was no Salon. Be aware of that. But I think you're just going to have a lot of Nurkic and a lot of Moussa Diabate, along with KJ Simpson, Nick Smith, Mikal Bridges, or Miles Bridges, and Tijan Salon. Charlotte's one of the best teams you can get to today. They're currently the most owned team. They're the highest boom. They're the highest optimal. This is the spot we got to get to. It's Nurk. It's Diabate. It's KJ Simpson. It's Salon. It's Bridges. It's Nick Smith. It's kind of the same on FanDuel, but not totally. Nurkic and Diabate are way more expensive. Diabate is not nearly as interesting. Only 10% optimal, 7% owned. Nurkic at 4,700 is still 20% optimal, 25% owned. KJ Simpson's still 25% owned. Miles Bridges is only 8,400. He's 30% owned. Nick Smith is 15% owned. You're getting to Charlotte a lot on both sites. Slightly different depending on the site, but priorities on both no matter what. This is the first team that we actually have to care about quite a bit. But whether it's Nurk, whether it's Diabate, whether it's both, we're playing a lot of the centers for the Charlotte Hornets today. We do not have any Hornets bets that are available right now. At least not that look great. Some 3 OddsShopper rating on Yusuf Nurkic at the bottom that you guys can't actually see on BetMGM. Under 4.5 assists. Pell's side, also shorthanded, also pretty heavily owned. This is an important game. Jordan Hawkins is questionable. Kelly Olynyk is questionable. No Zion, no CJ. That's given us 30% ownership to Jose Alvarado. He ranks 5th, 5,500. Plays like 28 minutes a night, 29 minutes a night. Looking damn good today against Charlotte. Elfrid Payton off the bench, playing like 24 minutes a night, 3,300. Really good per minute guy. 37% optimal, 30% owned in 40+% of my lineups. Ranks 3rd. Really good value. Another guy that helps you get Giannis. 10 to 15% more ownership coming to Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, Yves Missi. If Olynyk ends up out, pay closer attention to Jeremiah Robinson Earl and Carlo Makovic. FanDuel side, same situation. Massive ownership to Jose Alvarado, ranks 2nd, 50% owned. 15 to 20% more on Jordan Hawkins, Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, Elfrid Payton. 10% more to Yves Missi. We are inundated with ownership in this game. It's the most owned game on the slate. Whether it's Charlotte, whether it's New Orleans, whether it's DraftKings, whether it's FanDuel, you are playing a ton of this basketball game. There's not really anything that looks bad. Now, for New Orleans, Jose Alvarado, under 13.5 points on BetMGM, has a 6 OddsShopper rating, 4% EV. Nothing else out there on the Pelican side, just Alvarado. But this is the game to target, guys. Get as much of it as you can. Otherwise, you're going to go to games like this. Golden State and San Antonio. No injury news for the Warriors. Obviously, Gary Payton out. Steph is probable. Nobody on DraftKings has an optimal rate north of 10. Steph is at 9. Nobody on DraftKings has ownership higher than 10. Steph is at 8. I got to 7% of Steph. That's the most of anybody. I got to 5% of Draymond Green. I don't really have anything here for Golden State. These guys are all either priced up or priced appropriately. No one ranks in the top 30. On the FanDuel side, Draymond sneaks into the top 30 at 27, but he's 10% owned. Kuminga, Butler, Podziemski, Curry, and they all look like 5 to 10%ers. Steph's 8% optimal. Podziemski's 7% optimal. Jimmy Butler's 7% optimal. Draymond Green's 10% optimal. So they're all around 10% on FanDuel. They're all more like 5 to 10%ers on DraftKings. But the main takeaway is that we're just not rostering that much of the Golden State Warriors today. This game doesn't have a ton of ownership, and the ownership that's coming in is coming in on the San Antonio side. Golden State does have a 7 OddsShopper rating, 4.4% EV. Draymond under 10.5 points. That looks like something people should get pretty quickly. Nothing else out there for Golden State right now other than that Draymond under 10.5 points. For San Antonio, a lot more ownership coming in here. We saw Jeremy Sohan take that starting spot back at center. Now we need to see that. We need to see it. And we don't know their injury report status yet because they're on the back-to-back. But we saw Sohan get the start yesterday against Boston. We'll see if that happens here against Golden State. If he does, 30 minutes, 30% optimal, 30% owned, 30% of my lineups. Chris Paul, over his last 2 games, has played bigger minutes. Chris Paul played 35 minutes in their last game yesterday. He played 33 minutes in their game 2 days ago or 3 days ago. We got him in for 28. If he's playing more than 30, he looks like an amazing play at 4,400. He's 15% owned. We got it at 30. It's going to be interesting to dial his minutes in, or if he plays at all. But Chris Paul looks like a priority if he's playing 30 minutes again. Little bit of ownership to Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson seems fine. Maybe a couple shares of Stephon Castle. On the FanDuel side, these guys don't look nearly as good. Jeremy Sohan is the only guy north of 10% ownership. Paul, Castle, Vassell, all 5. Keldon Johnson, basically 5. But it's the Chris Paul minutes that we want to pay attention to. Because if he's getting new minutes, 4,400 is way too cheap. Way too cheap. But he's played 35 and 33. So we'll see. But it's a lot of San Antonio. I don't believe we have any San Antonio bets, though. Yeah, there's not a single available bet for the Spurs. So it looks like we're just going to have to jam these guys on the DFS side. DraftKings, for sure. FanDuel, a little bit less so. 2 games left to go now. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Raptors, 4-point favorites in Philly, 223 total. This is a team that you just fill your lineup out with. 10%. Let's hit the guys that are in and out first, I guess. No Grady Dick, no Jakob Poeltl, no Emmanuel Quickly. 10% ownership to Jamal Shed. 10% ownership to Jacoby Walter. 10% ownership to Jamison Battle. 10% ownership to Scotty Barnes. 10% ownership to RJ Barrett. 10% ownership to Jonathan Mobo. And we basically have 10% optimal on Shed, Walter, Battle, Barnes, Barrett, and Mobo. This is lineup filler. You want to get anywhere between 5 to 15% of Shed, Walter, Battle, Barnes, Barrett, or Mobo? Go for it. Do I think one of these guys stands out more than the others? No, not really. They rank 15th, 18th, 23rd, 25th, and 26th. They got 5 guys in 10 spots. I don't really see any way to prioritize a specific guy from Toronto. Humboldt, the first game isn't for 4 hours. What are you going on about? The first MLB game is 1:30 today. It's 9:30 in the morning. So yeah, minutes are weird for Toronto. Roles are weird for Toronto. You can fill out with these guys, but there's nobody to prioritize. They look worse on FanDuel. Only RJ Barrett, Jacoby Walter, and Jamison Battle got themselves into north of 10% optimal, north of 10% owned. But this is filler. I can't just pick one. I'll probably have one Toronto guy in everything I build, and it's probably one of like 7 different dudes. And we don't even really have Toronto bets. There's no one out there from Toronto on OddsShopper right now. So very weird team to roster in DFS purposes. You know who's not a weird team to roster today? The Philadelphia 76ers. They just don't look that good. On DraftKings, the highest owned guy is 4% to Quentin Grimes. The highest optimal is Yabu at 9%. He ranks 27th. The most I got of anybody is 6%. Nothing looks good from Philly. Nothing at all. Now, maybe it looks a little different. They're on a back-to-back. We don't know officially who's playing for the Sixers yet. But if they are at full strength, they don't look very good. There's not much here for Philly. Same situation on FanDuel. Nobody's in 10% of lineups. Nobody's in the top 30. But we don't know who's playing yet. So I don't want to dig into Philly too much because we need their injury report. And that's not going to come out until 1:30. Do we have any bets for Philadelphia? We do. Yabu under 12.5 points. 4 OddsShopper rating, 3.3% EV. Final game. Houston Rockets. 2.5 point favorites in Phoenix, 224 total. For Houston, they are going to be without Tari Eason today. We also have a Q tag on Reed Shepherd. Not that I think that it matters. There's no ownership coming into Houston outside of Şengün. 9,600 for Alperen Şengün. 22% optimal, 17% owned, 33% of my lineups. We got him ranking 12th. Otherwise, nobody inside the top 50. Could you roster Fred VanVleet or Jalen Green? Sure. I got 1% of Fred VanVleet and 4 of Jalen Green. Nothing of anybody else. On DraftKings, it's Şengün and Şengün only. On FanDuel, Şengün still looks good. Ranks 3rd, 9K. 24% optimal, 17% owned. Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks are both 10% owned. They're both 10% optimal. They're both in the top 30. Otherwise, you're not going to much else from Houston on either side. Şengün on both sites. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks on FanDuel. Houston bets. Oh, okay. Jabari Smith rebounds under 5.5 at BetMGM. 3 OddsShopper rating, 2.7% EV. Jabari Smith over 5.5 rebounds, plus 112 on FanDuel, 2.8% EV. So, 2 separate Jabari Smith rebounds, 1 under, 1 over. Whichever direction you guys want to go will work. But yeah, Rockets prices are too high. Lee, you're absolutely right. So we look at the final team of the slate, the Phoenix Suns. And spoiler alert, there's not much here. Colin Gillespie snuck into the top 30 at number 28. 8% optimal, 3% owned, 8% of my lineups. Nobody's higher than 8% optimal. Devin Booker got to 10% ownership. I didn't get more than 8% of anybody. I don't find Phoenix to look all that good. Bradley Beal is out. On the FanDuel side, Colin Gillespie does look better. 20% optimal, 10% owned, ranks 13th. Nobody else from Phoenix is in the top 50. So I know I went through this slate pretty quickly, but we got a lot left to wait on. I am going to build a lineup for DraftKings and FanDuel using our single lineup simulator, and then we're going to dip on out for this Sunday. So here we go. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Let's let the czar do his job and build out the best possible lineups on DraftKings and FanDuel. Here we go. We are going to start with Salon, with Chris Paul. I'm going to go to Moussa Diabate. And I'm going to get Mike Conley. I should be able to spend whatever I want on the rest of these guys and then upgrade accordingly. Kind of feel like I got to get Giannis no matter what. At shooting guard, dude, there's so much salary to go around. I'm going to have to upgrade so many guys. There's infinite salary. Gary Trent goes in. Keldon Johnson goes in. And then Şengün goes in. We have 4,600 left to upgrade this lineup. I barely have ownership. So let's take out Salon. Let's move Giannis to power forward. And then we can get any forward we want. That's going to be Miles Bridges. Oh, I can't get Miles Bridges. Okay. Show affordable players. Ooh, RJ Barrett. All right, let's just try this first one. I think it's going to be good. Anthony, no. Ronald, yes. Schedule for the rest of the day. Greg and Eric will be on MLB Live Before Lock at 12:30. Greg and Eric will also be on playback watching baseball games for an hour from 11:30 to 12, or sorry, from 1:30 to 2:30. So MLB Live Before Lock on YouTube from 12:30 to 1:30, also on playback. Then playback from 1:30 to 2:30, and then EMAC and Bellman at 6 o'clock for Live Before Lock tonight. There we go. 65%. I wasn't even paying attention. I just knocked it out of the park immediately. I am going to take RJ Barrett out of there, though. I think I can make this a little bit better. Instead of Barrett, I'm going to take Kelly Olynyk. And then I'm going to take that extra $1,000 and upgrade. I don't even think I'm going to be able to upgrade Gary Trent. Maybe I can. Yeah, I'm going to upgrade Gary Trent to Dennis Schroeder. I actually think that this is going to be even higher. Let's go 84.7. 74.3. We'll take it. We'll take it. Let's see what FanDuel looks like. We're going to start it off with, oh boy. We're going to go Moussa Diabate at center. DeLon Wright at point guard. Giannis at power forward, obviously. Elfrid Payton at point guard. Look at all the point guards on FanDuel. Alvarado, Wright, Gillespie, Payton, Simpson. Oof. All right, let's get Jamison Battle in at small forward. At shooting guard, we're going to get Gary Trent and Dennis Schroeder. At small forward, we're going to get RJ Barrett. And at power forward, we're going to get Kelly Olynyk. We have 7,800 left over to upgrade this team. So we can take Moussa Diabate out if we want to and upgrade from Moussa Diabate to Alperen Şengün. And then I think that we could upgrade from Elfrid Payton Ooh, who do we want here? We're going to go from Elfrid Payton. I have so much more salary to spend. Yep, I might actually keep Elfrid Payton here. Now, we're going to get Chris Paul. 2,100 left to spend. So let's upgrade Jamison Battle. Battle, really good value, but we could turn that into Bruce Brown. And then it feels like Kelly Olynyk will be the easiest upgrade. It's not, actually, but we can go to Draymond. That leaves me 500. I'm going to test it with 500, but we can upgrade again anyway. Big chops. Good work, brother. Let's say 79-2. 82-2. Man, that was close. I wasn't looking. I hope you guys could tell. 82-2 on FanDuel with $500 left. Can we upgrade anybody? Can I beat 82-2? Oh, I definitely can. Because I can make DeLon Wright, Colin Gillespie, and the lineup gets better. Can I upgrade Gary Trent? I can't. Can I upgrade Chris Paul? Not really. Can I upgrade Dennis Schroeder? No. Can I upgrade RJ Barrett? No. I don't think I can upgrade Şengün. I actually don't think I can make another upgrade. I think it's Colin Gillespie. I guess technically it could be Elfrid Payton. Yeah, let's test this. This might be 100. I might have grabbed enough. I don't think I took on enough ownership, and I think I grabbed enough fantasy points. This might be 100. And if it is, we're out of here. I mean, we're out of here regardless. Oh, baby. Not only is it 100, it's 139.4. The Czar is too damn good at his job, man. 139.4. 139.4. Too good at this, folks. Another one in the books. Strategy show is done. 2 hours of MLB Live Before Lock coverage coming up later today. And NBA Live Before Lock later tonight. I'm on the projections. If you need anything, find us in Discord. Good luck, everybody. I'll talk to you later.